What is going on, guys? Today we're going to be going over something a bit different. It's going to be kind of a different video than what I'm normally used to making. We're going to go over angles and everything about them. So you might not know a lot about angles depending on how much FPS you played. Maybe you didn't play a lot of CSGO. But angles are a huge part of Valorant. Just real quick. They are a ginormous part of Valorant, and you have to kind of learn what angles do, how to hold them, how to peek angles, and whatnot. So for those of you who don't know or who feel like you might have a little bit of trouble being able to either win your gunfights or being able to rank up because you feel like your mechanics might not be as good as they should, then we're going to be going over that here today. So to begin, whenever you peek angles, the main thing you have to learn is that you never want to peek moving forward or backwards. So say you're trying to peek this angle right here, you never want to do that, because muscle memory is for you to counter strafe. If you don't know what counter strafing is, you walk to the left and then you stop with your right key. You can see it here on my hand. You walk to the right, and if you want to stop faster, you click on your left key. So you can counter strafe like that. So counter strafing is all muscle memory, and the more you do it, the more you get better at it. But if you begin to walk into angles like this, your counter strafing becomes a lot harder, because now it's not just your fingers that have to move left and right, but counter strafing, you can still do it. You can still counter strafe moving back and forward, but it's going to be a lot harder on your fingers and a lot more awkward. Then you're just not going to be used to it. No one's really used to it. So anytime you peek an angle, no matter what angle it is, you're always going to want to be moving left, or you're going to want to be moving right. No in between. So just keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to angles, there is several ways that you can hold them that might give you the benefit depending on what situation you're trying to play in. So for example, whoever is closer to the angle is more vulnerable to being seen whenever you're slow peeking. For example, say this is the angle we're talking about right here, right? And say somebody's holding me from right there. If I'm like this and I slow peek like this person can already see my shoulder and I can't see him. Because the closer I am to the angle, the more I expose myself without being seen. So he can see my shoulder here, right? And I would have to wide peek him for me to get the advantage here. So if you're ever holding an angle like this or this close and you feel like somebody's holding a farther angle, say over there or even over there, you want to make sure that you always try to fast peek this. Never slow like peek these close angles, because you're going to get seen, they're going to shoot your shoulder, and you're not even going to know where you died from or who killed you, right? So you want to make sure that if you are holding a close angle like this, you want to wide swing and then take the shot. There are ways to cut the pie, like you don't have to always wide swing, right? You can like clear like this, but you want to be very careful and don't do this. Don't do that. Then I see a lot of people doing this like that and like slow peeking angles, and they're going to see you before you can see them. So you want to make sure that these are quick, decisive, you already know what you're aiming at, and then you can clear angles, so and so. So remember, the closer you are to the angle, the more they can see. Whoever is closest to the angle in the gunfight will see more of the other person. So always peek these fast. Now, when it comes to actually aiming in your angles, there are a few mistakes that I see people make whenever they're trying to like clear something that they don't know where anyone is. Okay, let's start here, for example. If I'm here, see I'm tucked in, there are several angles that I can be seen from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So these are common angles that people hold. Whenever you want to clear a room, it is always best to aim at the angle before you peek, which means you want to ignore that the corner is there. You want to ignore this wall, like this wall's on here, for example. Just keep in mind. And say I want to peek this angle, right? You don't do this. You don't do that and then peek, because guess what? You're going to be peeked to another angle. It's very sloppy. You want to make sure that your crosshair is already on the angle when you peek. So say I want to peek this, right? I'm already like this, peek. I want to peek this left angle, peek. I want to peek the corner, peek, right? I want to peek the box, peek. And then you want to peek the top, peek. So there's things that you want to do like this to make sure that your crosshair is as close to the enemy's head as possible. People think that the higher you get in rank, the better aim people have, which they do. But the majority of things that improves as you go higher in rank is that, number one, people's crosshair placement is a lot better. So if I peek like this, and this dude's like right here, right? Look at the minimal adjustment I have to make to be able to hit that headshot. But if I peek like this, and I already see the dude, right? I'm gonna have to, boom, just completely flick, right? So the whole goal of you peeking an angle is to have your crosshair as close to the enemy position as possible. Now, you might say, okay, well, as you get higher in rank, right, how can you stop people from just doing this to me, right? Because you can literally just pre-fire shit, right? And if they're holding the angle, like, they're dead. Like they're not going to live, right? You can pre-fire shit pretty easily if they're holding common angles, and that's why sometimes it looks like you get just insta-killed. Because if you're holding an angle that they expect, they can just boom, peek, and you're dead. So what can you do to prevent this? So instead of holding common angles like this, like the one I was just showing you, right? There are things that are called off angles. So off angles are standing in spots where they don't expect, because every single person in high rank, probably around gold or so, are going to be doing this, right? They're going to be clearing you the way I just showed you, angle by angle, right? So the way you prevent that is by playing an off angle. So you know how I showed you that people are going to peek boom, 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 and then the box and then the top of the box, right? If you stand right here, look how much of like a crosshair adjustment they're going to have to make. These off angles are very advantageous because they can give you a big benefit if you pull them off correctly. But most off angles are very dangerous whenever util is involved. So it's kind of meta, right? That's why nobody holds off angles all the time, because you might think, why doesn't everyone just hold an off angle? And it makes it awkward. Well, if I were to get flash here, guess what? I can't run anywhere, right? I'm wide in the open, so I can't go anywhere. Unless I'm jet or chamber, I'm dead. I'm as good as dead. They're going to peek me right after the flash. If I get mollied here, right? They can molly something else. If they molly this, then I can get cleared here. So there's a lot of negative sides to an off angle, but it's like a meta game, right? You have to know what to hold and when to hold it, pretty much. So let's pretend that someone is standing right here, right? Look how awkward it is, right? Right here. I go boom, boom. I go boom. I don't see him yet, right? He's right here. I don't see him yet. I'm gonna go like this, and then guess what? Instead of me having to clear this easily, I'm gonna have to flick all the way over here to kill this guy. And then this dude who's right here, all he has to do is stand here and boom. So by the time it takes me to go from my crosshair here to here, he's already gonna be aiming in my head and he gets a free kill. So off angles are very important. A good off angle on this map, for example, is right here. This off angle is nuts and people will not see it coming. If you're standing right here, right? People clear this, they clear this, and then they clear this. If you're standing right here, this dude has to go boom and just whack you like that. And people's up and down flicks are not as consistent as their left and right. But off angles are a super important part of peeking, and you want to make sure that you try to incorporate them into your game. Okay, so we talked about peeking angles. Let us talk about holding an angle. What can you do to make it so that way the angle you're holding has a higher chance of being successful? Well, first you have to decide what type of angle you're holding and the situation that you're in. If you think that you're going to get white peaked, like for me, for example, every time I hold an angle, say I'm holding this, right? And people could walk up here and kill me. I don't hold the angle like this. You want to make sure that you never have your crosshair super close to the corner, because if somebody white swings you, then you're going to have to adjust all the way over here, for example. Like, it's very hard to do. So you always want to make sure that you have some slack, right there in between the wall and your crosshair. But there are times when you do want to hold it close, depending on if you expect them to white swing or not. So if I'm holding an angle like this, right, which is near mid, people are not really gonna slow peek this, right? I expect people to white swing, they might flash and then peek me. So I like to have the slack there. And if they white swing me, then I don't have to adjust too much, right? And if they do decide to slow walk, I can just kind of quickly adjust. So it kind of covers both white swing and a slow peek, right? But there are times when you might want to be sneaky. Say, for example, that you're holding B right here, right? And you hear all the shit going down on A. Your team's like, hey, they're out on A. But you have a feeling that somebody's going to lurk behind everybody else, right? And they're going to go into B by themselves. You can hold this like this, because if they are trying to lurk behind everyone else, right? And their whole team is on A, but they're trying to, come into B and make havoc, odds are they're going to be slow walking. Odds are they're not going to be running it. So holding an angle like this, when you think somebody's going to slow peek it, is very beneficial, because they're going to peek it like this. And guess what? Their head's going to be here for like a good second or two, so you're going to have time to react. So if you think they're going to wide swing, leave space. If you think they're going to slow peek, then you can have it close to the corner. So let's talk about when you should wide swing and when you should slow peek. So slow peeking is more beneficial when you're trying to be sneaky. If you're trying to catch somebody off guard, then you can go ahead and slow peek. But a wide peek is usually done better whenever you're close against the wall. And you might ask, okay, well, why is it better for you to wide peek? Something like that, right? So wide peeks are pretty much gambles unless you already know where the person is. Say that I don't know where anybody is on set, right? If I wide peek this, then guess what? I have to clear this, top of the box maybe, this, and this. I have so many angles to clear, but that's the gamble of it. If I know where someone is, I can just boom, 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 right? Just insta peek. But a wide swing is usually better done whenever you're close to the wall because it catches people off guard. Their whole crosshair placement gets off. They're going to be holding like this, and then you're going to be over here before they know when they have to like counter. A wide peek is very hard to do whenever you're far from the angle because you're kind of slow, right? Like they're going to see your shoulder before you kind of see them. So whenever I wide peek, I make sure that I'm close to the wall and pretty much try to guess where they're going to be, right? A slow peek is usually done better whenever you're, like I said, you're trying to be sneaky. But a lot of people don't know that you can actually fast peek and not make any noise. You have about 2 to 3 steps before your character makes noise. Let me see if I can show you. Like you see how much I'm moving and I'm not making any noise. But if I go a little bit more, then I make the step. And you kind of learn the timing, but you can still wide peek stuff without making any noise at all. So say I'm trying to peek this, I can still wide peek. Right? But you have to master that timing, because if not, you make one step and it's over, right? So you can still wide swing stuff and stay sneaky, but sometimes I like to take my time, you know, peek slowly, back up from the angle, try to cover every angle. And if I'm trying to be sneaky, then I will, you know, slow peek something. Okay, so now that we covered peeking angles, holding angles, let's talk about how to counter some of these holds that people have, right? So there are different things that you can do to kind of help you peek an angle without kind of being in any danger. So the first one, and the very common one, is a jiggle. So say you want to check if they're opping, right? You can jiggle like this, and guess what? Like, they don't have enough time to shoot you most of the time. They can still hit it if they're lucky, but odds are they won't have enough time to hit you online. You can also do a shoulder peek for ops. So if someone's holding you with an op, you can do this, get to the wall, and do this. Now, you don't see past the wall, but they'll see your shoulder, and they might fire. If that op fires, let's go boom, it fires you, then you have time to cross over before the op can reload. That's called a shoulder peek. Now, there are different things that you can do to kind of get an idea of where people are. So I'm sure you've seen people do a jumping peek, which is this, right? That's called a jump peek. That's how you kind of clear stuff. Now, when you see people do this, I'm sure you're wondering, how does that benefit them, right? Then, like, it's too fast to even see anything. Well, they don't play like this to see something with their eyes. They play to see with the map. So if I go like this, and, you know, I don't see anybody with my eyes, if somebody's there, my map is going to show them for my team. So say somebody's holding right there, right? Which is right here. If I go like this, then guess what? He's going to show up on my map here, and my entire team can see him. So Valorant is very lenient with that. I don't know why. If they appear on your screen at all, they're going to show up on the map for your entire team. So that's why jump peeks are very important. Say you're trying to hold, like here, for example, right? Say that everyone thought it was a B push, so you went to B, right? You're all the way over here. And then they're like, hey guys, I think they're going A. And you're just like, okay, well, you don't know how far in A they could be, right? There could have been someone lurking that walked up. So you can do this, and you can jump peek it, right? So this way, you can see whoever's there, and you don't have to risk your life. And the odds of them hitting this are kind of hard, right? But just don't do it too much, because if someone is holding you with an op, you know, like if you're jump peeking, and you're gonna be going like, boom, boom. But if someone's holding you and you do it consistently, they can guess and just time you. So it's very good to do. Very risky to do against an op twice, but it's possible. It's very hard to counter this with a rifle, but you can still do it. But remember, it's not really about seeing stuff with your eyes. It's about using the map to your advantage. And you can kind of just jump 180, and that'll be that. But anyways, guys, let me know what y'all think. I'm going to be doing an operator guide, I think, in the next video. It's going to be kind of the same style. So let me know if you all want me to cover that. If you guys want me to cover any more topics, let me know, because I'm super down to cover more guides on Valorant. And anyways, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next one.